Welcome, everyone, to the Exit Strategy Book Launch Party. We're celebrating this momentous day. Lainey Cameron releasing her first novel, and it is a great book. And I'm so excited to hang out with Lainey and some of her author friends today and play some songs. So without further ado, put your hands together, send some love to Lainey Cameron. Yoo-hoo! Hey!
Hey!
How are you?
Oh man, it's been a crazy day. Like so many good wishes on social media, and this journey is kind of crazy. Getting a book out to the world, you don't do it on your own. And even just my acknowledgements on my website, I think has 120 odd people in it. And I think every single one of them today reached out to me and said congratulations. And it's been pretty frigging amazing. It's been a really great day.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm so excited for you. And let me just ask you, so the exit strategy, you haven't actually seen the book, right? In print, you haven't?
No, because as you know, we're both here in Mexico and the border is closed, and it's actually not that easy to ship stuff back and forth right now. And so we found a way to get me a copy of my book. My assistant, who's been helping ship them to Bookstagrammers, other people have this book, just not me. My assistant shipped one to Texas, and it got put on the back of a pickup truck and driven down from Texas. And guess what? It got here, but I have not actually opened it because it just arrived a few days ago. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun to open it live on my watch party?
Yes. Are we going to do it right now?
Sure. Why not?
Let's do it.
Okay.
I think I'll write a song about it as you do it. Oh, I'm opening a package. I know what's inside. It's my baby boy. I said I'm opening the package. Why'd they put so much duct tape? Oh, there it goes.
I cut it open.
It's cutting open. Here it is, the exit strategy. First time we hold it. Wow.
I've never seen it before. Look, it's pretty and shiny. Oops, wrong way. Pretty and it's more glossy than I realized. It's super glossy.
Wow. What does it feel like to have this book, your first book? I believe it took you, how long did it take you to write this book?
Oh, more than 4 years. But, I was new to writing. I came from the marketing world and I'd never written a book before. And when I started this, I didn't even know if I had the ending of the book. I started it not even knowing if I had the end of the draft. I'll start this and see if it goes somewhere. And then I didn't know how to edit. And so it's been this crazy journey of just learning all the different things you need to know as a writer, how to put the craft into it, how to get the backstory, how to get the emotion on the page. So many different things. And so it's so weird to go from 4+ years and hundreds of people helping me to holding this thing. It's real. It's actually a physical thing.
Wow. And there's so many comments coming in and people that are excited about the exit strategy. And it really does not only does it look beautiful, but tell me about what's inside. What is this story about and why should we read it? Why should people be interested in reading it?
Oh man. I can't stop touching it. Have you guys noticed? I'm okay, I have to
touch it. I mean, I would have it if I was there.
Stop touching the book. It's a story about two women, and I really wanted to write a story that broke with the stereotypes that we have about women. And so I took a scenario where my main character is a venture capitalist. She's called Rin Brennan. And she's invested in a company that she's basically bet her career on. She's finally at that stage where she's going to become a senior VP. She's bet her career on this deal, except she finds out her husband's cheating. And that's where we are on the opening page of the book. On the opening page, she knows her husband's cheating. She knows the woman's called Carly, but she hasn't talked to him yet. and she's getting ready to go in and close this deal, and she comes face to face with Carly, the mistress, across the negotiating table as the owner of the company.
Yes, I love that intro. It's such a busy page. I mean, everything's happening. You're like, what's going to happen next? I could just imagine the tension in both of the women's, souls as they go into that meeting.
Yeah, and I really wanted, like I said, to break with the stereotypes. So although it starts there, which you could almost call a cliche, right? A wife and a mistress facing off. I really wanted to take the book in a different direction. I didn't want it to be a book that circled around the guy. Very often in those scenarios, the book ends up being all about revenge on the man, or the two women fighting over the man, or the two women unable to get on with each other. And I really wanted to show that that's not my experience of women. In my experience, women are bigger and better than that, and we know how to rise above that kind of bullshit. Sorry, we did say it wouldn't be PG. So for me, it was very important to take a different path and tell a story that wasn't the stereotype of the women not being able to get along, but actually was about how these two women were going to work through the situation and make it work. And ultimately, people are telling me the book is pretty uplifting.
Absolutely. An empowering story about women rising up to their best and working together, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you asked me to be part of this. We initially, when you told me about the book, I was so excited. That was maybe 6 months ago, and we were gonna go on a tour called what were we gonna call our tour?
Books, Brews, and Badass Women.
Yes. And this is definitely a badass woman book, but also has a lot for the guys out there, right?
Yeah, it's been surprising because I wrote it with women in mind, but it's interesting that some of my early readers handed it off to their partner, whether it was their husband or whoever. Actually, my very first male reader was my cousin Paul, who I really didn't think it would be kind of his kind of book. And he called me in his middle of the night while he was still up reading it, texting me going no, it's really good. It's actually good. I like it. And I'm like, wow, my first guy reader actually likes it. Go figure.
Fantastic. I love that. So it's a story about while, and I love that. I was surprised that on one of the pages you mentioned all the music and the playlist. There's a playlist that accompanies this book, right?
There is. In fact, the main character creates this playlist. She's in a really bad situation with her husband, as you can imagine. Discovering that his mistress is across the table is obviously, there's something going on in the background there that just didn't randomly happen. And so the husband isn't such a nice guy, we'll discover through the book. I won't say any more than that. But the pleasure to pump herself up as she's dealing with her husband and what to do about her marriage. She wanted some kind of pump me up music, and she deliberately chooses all the songs that her husband Todd does not like, because they're women music, they're women power music, and he doesn't like women power music. And so the list is called the STD playlist, Songs Todd Despises.
That's clever. And where can people find our friends that are tuning in? Can we share that playlist with them? Can we maybe put that?
Yeah.
How would they get that playlist?
Yeah, we'll see if we can put the link in here to the page. But there's a whole page of extras on my website. If you go to laineycameron.com and you go into For Readers, there's a whole section of the website called For Readers. And in there, you've got Nutella recipes, you've got book club materials and questions, some interviews with me, the playlist, and also a guide to the locations in the book, which was kind of fun to create because some of the places in the book are real and I use their real names. And some of the places in the book are real and I changed their names for some good reasons.
Okay. Protect the innocent.
Or the not so innocent.
Or the not so innocent.
I actually tell you exactly what these locations are that got changed.
Okay. Well, that's really fun. And I'm so glad to be here. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We have a really fun hour for you. Going to have some interviews, some readings, and some songs. And this song, I'm going to play a song now that's on that playlist that is inspired by the book. It's called Gypsy Cowgirl. And then we're going to have a reading by Lainey Cameron herself of The Exit Strategy. I'm the gypsy cowgirl, riding my way through a dream. Oh, people ask me where I'm going. I'm not really sure what that means. My feet are always moving, and where they stop, I call my home. I love big, and I love strong, and I'm not afraid to be alone. I hold on to nothing, and nothing's got its hold on me. And if you want to fall in love, you better read the exit strategy. All right. Yippee-ki-yay-cow, yippee-ki-yay-cow. Yippee-ki-yay-cow, watch out, here I go again. Yippee-ki-yay-cow, watch out, here I go. Yeah, here I go again. Ooh, 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 ooh. If you need an explanation why I can't stand still, I'm traveling the world till I've seen it all, or at least until I get my fill. I hold on to nothing, and nothing's got its hold on me. And if you want to fall in love, first you gotta set yourself free. Yippee-ki-yay-cow, 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 watch out, here I go again. Yippee-ki-yay-cow, watch out, here I go. Yeah, here I go again. Yeah, time is dark inside my heart. The road goes on forever, paved up broken promises that can't be held together. But like a bird, I have to fly. I believe in better weather, and I'm doing the best I can to speak my truth and start again, and start again. All right. Yippee-ki-yay-cow, 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 watch out, here I go again. Yippee-ki-yay-cow, watch out, here I go. Yeah, here I go again. Yeah, here I go again. Ooh, 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 here I go again. Yoo-hoo! Ay, ay, ay.
Ay, ay, ay. Oh, man.
Good,
Like,
you're
you're
back.
incredible. I love your singing every time.
Oh, thank you so much. I never realized how perfect that song and this story are for each other.
And I don't know if I made it clear earlier on the playlist that Leah's songs are on that playlist. When I had to put together a playlist of power women music, Leah was the first person I thought of, because I'm like one of her little groupies that follows her around to San Miguel. And she's not going to play my favorite song tonight, which is a little more explicit, which is the DICK pick song. But we can probably find it for you online. But, you know, you are a badass woman. And so it was a perfect fit when I was writing a badass woman playlist.
Oh, well, so I was really grateful when I saw myself in your book. So thank you for the mention and for inviting me to be part of this really wonderful day. And your book, I love it. And so many people love it. All the comments that are coming in, just it's obvious that you have a lot of friends and fans already. And it's just the first day of your book launch. So can you read a little bit of your book for us today?
Sure. And sure can. And just so you guys know, I can see every comment. I'm looking at them all as we go. So it's really fun to be able to see everybody there. Okay, so I've got my printout here. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you the first page, and then I'm going to read you a little bit from the third chapter, and I'll explain why. The first page. So let's do the opening of the book. This is as the book opens. Here we go. Rin scrawled seething on a scrap of paper and crammed it into the feelings jar on her desk. She winced at the glare bouncing off the adjacent skyscrapers, streaming through the wall of windows into her office. The San Francisco weather gods apparently didn't get the memo. Dismal fog was the appropriate backdrop to discovering her husband's affair, not sparkly damn sunshine. She opened her valuation spreadsheet. Perhaps a focus on the data would calm the shitstorm rumbling inside her head. Pop's technique of stuffing unwanted emotions in a jar usually worked, but not this morning, and the meeting with the BioLarge startup started in 10 minutes. The promotion she'd been denied for 2 years depended on closing this deal. She refused to blow it because of an infidelity brain scramble. The rows of numbers blurred, and she struggled to recall her negotiation points as dozens of memories demanded re-examination. Todd's golf trip last month, with her, his mistress. 2 weeks ago, when his apartment development project required an extended stay in Nevada through the weekend, with her. Those loving texts when Rin was out of town. I can't manage 1 more hour without you. What time do you land? Not so loving now, just measuring how much longer he had, with her. She didn't know which hurt more, Todd lying or him finding this woman, this Carly, so special she was worth risking a perfect partnership. Rin stood and shook out her hands. If more time remained, she'd redo her analysis, but her brain had been buzzing like this since yesterday. Thousands of micro-deceptions, like memory popcorn, every burst a new realization of betrayal. So that is the first page. And in the next couple of pages, what's going to happen is she's going to realize that Carly is actually the person she's meeting with, that she's getting ready for this meeting in 10 minutes. And so I'm going to read you a little bit from chapter 3, which is a little bit further, because what's happened by now, and I'll let you read the book to see how it goes, but you can imagine that meeting where Carly and Rin face off across the negotiating table maybe doesn't go so well, right? It's not going to be pretty. And so this is the scene that night after that meeting has not gone well at all, where Rin is back home. And later in this scene, I won't read you this piece, but later in this scene, Rin actually takes a jar of Nutella and a spoon and eats the entire jar of Nutella with a spoon, which is part of where the Nutella fixation thing in the book and the party and everything comes from. It's a recurring theme. In fact, when I was working with one of my beta readers, they actually did a search and came back and told me, you know, you have Nutella 26 times in this book. Do you think you should tone it back a bit? And I think in the end book, maybe it's in there 23. So, hey, I listened to my beta feedback, but maybe not as much as I should. But anyway, this is the scene where Rin is at home after the meeting has not gone well, and we open in her house. The Macallan swirled in its crystal tumbler, radiant in the day's last light. Rin stood on the maple floor of her dining room and watched the golden liquid spin. The same whiskey she and Todd saved for special occasions. She took a deep slug, then placed the glass on the table next to her open laptop. Rifling Todd's pockets and rereading every message only confirmed her fears. After he arrived home tomorrow, there would be no more special occasions because his affair was clearly about more than sex. It wasn't only the L word sprinkled throughout their text messages. Todd and Carly appeared to spend more time in evenings at Carly's house than at the upscale restaurants he so loved. Todd was handsome, stunning even, with those emerald eyes and captivating smile. He didn't have to pass entire hours stuck inside anyone's home just for sex. And from the texts, it seemed their affair spanned not 6 months, but more than 2 years. Rin took another swallow of whiskey, controlling her desire to slam the tumbler through the glass table. And we're going to stop there because I think we have a song that goes really well with the end of that scene.
Oh dear, whiskey, whiskey, whiskey. I can just picture her just getting, when I drink whiskey, I get fired up. And I did write a song about whiskey, and it takes place in Nashville, Tennessee, where I started my night in Nashville drinking whiskey. And I woke up the next day in Kentucky, wondering how I had gotten there. And so whiskey can be a poisonous friend and a truth serum. And this is the whiskey song in honor of the exit strategy. Oh, whiskey, you poisonous friend. Whiskey, you poisonous friend. You say that you love me, you're playing pretend. You go down so easy, I can't get enough. I know tomorrow morning I'll be feeling so rough, so rough, like a donkey kicked my head. Oh no, it's gonna be tough, so tough to get out of this bed. Oh, whiskey, I'm a foolish girl for you. I keep coming back when I know just what you do. You're the friend that I call when I feel alone, and you loosen up my lips on the microphone. You're the love-hate lover that I call to get fucked up. I think I fucked up, like I made a big mistake. Oh no, did I drink too much? No, did I leave the time to waste? Oh, whiskey, now will I survive? I turn to you just to feel like I'm alive. I'm alive. Yeah, I'm alive. Whoa, yes, I'm alive. I'm still alive. Oh, whiskey, you're the only one to blame for suggesting that threesome with your friend Cocaine. Now mascara's running up and down my face, and my clothes are exploding all over the place. There's no thinking when I go out drinking with you, but I'm alive. Yeah, I'm alive. Whoa, yes, I'm alive. I'm still alive. Oh, whiskey, you poisonous friend. You say that you love me, you're playing pretend. You go down so easy, I can't get enough. I know tomorrow morning I'll be feeling so rough. But oh, whiskey, baby, give me some. Ooh, your love. Yeah. Hey, are you drinking whiskey? Are you drinking whiskey?
Not yet. It's my lunch party, and I don't even have an alcoholic drink. I have a Coke and I have a water right now. I really feel like I'm missing something.
Well, we have a lot of questions coming in, but let's first resolve this important matter of the non-drink in your hand, because we need to celebrate. So let's invite, how about we invite a special guest, sci-fi author and mixologist extraordinaire, Sarah Bond to the party. Oh, hi, Sarah.
Yay! Yeah, we need
Hey,
to
I'm
fix
so
this,
glad you're
Lainey.
here.
We need to fix this. You need a drink.
We have a drink emergency. Lainey does not have a drink.
How about something Nutella
And
based?
luckily, Sarah has designed a cocktail to match the book.
I have
Amazing.
Rinse Nutella martini. So you have your ingredients ready, right, Lainey?
I think so. I got it all right here. I think, like, scroll. See, I think all the bits here. So
Okay. Vodka, Frangelico, Bailey's, and
okay, hang on. You want me to show me the ingredients? Okay, so let's make sure. We have vodka.
good.
We have Frangelico.
Very good.
We have Bailey's.
And
Ice and a glass and a Ferrero Rocher. Oh yeah, the most important, we have a life-size tub of Nutella. Can you see how big this thing is? It's as big as a cocktail glass. This is the most large Nutella ever.
Mine's the size of my shot glass, so.
I think yours is considerably more reasonably sized. Like, I could do
Probably.
this for the rest of my life.
All right. So the first thing you're going to do, you're going to rim your glass.
Rim my glass. Okay.
I've practiced this one.
Okay. Actually, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open the Nutella. Okay. So tell me how to rim my glass.
Get a regular spoon
Okay.
and get a small spoonful of Nutella.
Okay.
Take your glass,
Got it.
rub the Nutella along the edge of your glass, leaving it along the edge.
Yeah. Okay, we're trying. It's
a little messy.
It's a bit of a disaster, but we're doing our best here. You know, it's Mexico. It's warm. Nutella is actually very melted. So.
Well, sometimes you can, if it's warm, you can just drizzle it into your glass, and then you have it all the way through.
How's this looking? Does this look right?
That looks close. There you go.
That looks like a disaster, but it's good. It's a Nutella disaster.
It's going to be tasty no matter what.
It's so good. It's going to be so good. Okay.
Set it aside, and in your mixing glass, add some ice.
This is my very sophisticated mixing glass known as a Starbucks cup.
A tumbler will work. So add your ice. Mine's been keeping my champagne cold.
Okay, we got our ice.
And you got your
In
shot
the
glass?
Nutella thing. I mean, in our Starbucks thing.
Very good. Shot glass.
Shot glass. Yep. Shot glass.
All right, and there are a couple of variations with this. I like my martinis very strong because they're martinis.
Okay.
So I do 2 shots of vodka, 1.5 shots of Frangelico, and 1 shot of Bailey's. But if you want more hazelnut taste, add more Frangelico and less vodka. You want sweeter, add more Bailey's and less vodka.
I like Nutella, so let's go for more Nutella-y hazelnut taste.
Okay, so you're probably going to want to do 1.5 vodka, 1.5 Frangelico.
Okay, here we go. 1.5 vodka, so 1.5 is like 1.5 shot glasses, right?
That's correct. 1.5 ounces.
1. How did you learn to do this, Sarah? Because you've been doing these pairings for a while with different books. Are you a bartender originally before a writer? Is it just a passion?
So friends of mine are very good mixologists. I just enjoy it. I just play around and adapt recipes to what I like. But my friends used to have a bar in their basement, and I moved into their house when they moved to Seattle. So I inherited their bar and then got into the habit of mixing up fun drinks.
Oh, nice. And you can
And
see
the fun
all
thing
of Sarah's pairings projects on her website. It's very cool. She's been doing it since like last year, and there's a ton of books. In fact, Allison, who's going to be on later, has a cocktail for her book. And what did
She's
you
got an
do?
alcoholic Arnold Palmer for hers.
An alcoholic Arnold Palmer. We'll ask Allison about that when she gets on. What did you do for your book for Gravity's Air, which just came out?
So I realized today that I have not done my own book.
What?
It's a little embarrassing, I know.
Okay, so how much Frangelico am I putting in?
Do 1.5. If you did 1.5 vodka, do 1.5 Frangelico.
Okay. Yeah, this thing is alcoholic.
Yep. Okay. Strong drink.
Woo! 1.5 Frangelico. Here we go. Woo!
And then 1 Bailey's.
And what did you say you do if you want it sweeter? You put more what in it?
Add more Bailey's. That's the sweet one in this.
Yeah. So how many, sorry? 1?
Just 1.
Okay. Okay.
All right, and then you're going to take your spoon. We're not going to shake this one because shaking it introduces too much liquid from the water and too much air, and it just waters it all down and it doesn't work. So we're going to stir.
Okay. Stir.
Stir it up.
Oh, the Nutella all over me. Look at this. It's a Nutella disaster. Okay, here we go. It's stirring. It looks really good. I don't know if I can try not to pour it on my laptop. That would be bad.
All right, and you got your rimmed glass, right?
Yes, my Nutella mess glass, yes.
Use your spoon to keep the ice from falling in, and then pour it into your glass.
Okay, we got this. We can do this. Hang on. Have it back here. You can see it maybe. Maybe. Nope. Okay. Ooh. Oh. Oh, man. That looks dang good.
All right, and your Ferrero Rocher, I actually cut a little divot into mine so I could put it on the edge of my glass. But it's kind of hard to do without splitting the Ferrero Rocher.
Oh. Oh, yeah. Kind of hard. We'll just, yeah.
Balance on the edge.
I put Nutella all over me.
Now you get to
Man, look at that, you guys. It's amazing. Okay, let's taste it.
Enjoy.
Oh my God. That is so good. Oh, this is dangerous. I warn you people, if you make this, it is super dangerous.
It is super tasty and super alcoholic, so probably limit it to one or two.
So good. Thank you. And you wrote the loveliest review of the exit strategy as well. Maybe we can put the link in the comments to the blog post, but it's so cute. You like actually wrote the most in-depth review I've seen of the book so far to go with the two cocktails. And thank you.
You got to know the book to pair it with the right cocktail. You got to know it inside and out. So I'm glad you liked it.
And I'm in the middle of reading your book right now, Gravity's Air, and I'm loving it. And she drinks neat whiskey, right? Your main character is a neat whiskey girl. So
neat whiskey and red wine. Yeah, she's a hard as nails space pilot. So she likes the good stuff.
I love it. I love it. Well, I think Leah and I are going to chat now. I think we're going to talk a little bit about the artistic process, I think.
Well, cheers and congratulations, Lainey. I'm so proud of you.
Congrats so much, Sarah. I really appreciate you coming on and doing this. Cheers.
Cheers. I made a Nutella latte because I too am super tasty and alcoholic, so I don't drink alcohol anymore.
Latte is the perfect solution.
I liked the modification that you had for the non-alcoholic one. Lainey, you shared that one, right? Or was that Sarah's?
It's a Nutella milkshake. It's really good.
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't want to imbibe, but cheers to you. I'm so happy for you. And that was super interesting.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Cheers.
All right. So I think we're going to talk a little bit more about the book. Let me just move my camera around this way so I can sit back down. So
tell me, I was just wondering, what inspired the book? Have you worked in Silicon Valley?
Yeah. When I set out to write this book, I had this idea. The first idea I had was like The Wife and the Mistress, and I wanted to write this non-cliche story that broke from the stereotypes and that forced them to work together. And the logical thing was, where should I set this story? Well, I'm like, I've worked for 20 years in Silicon Valley. It's what I know the best. So it made sense to set the story where I know it, where it's Silicon Valley. And the interesting thing, someone asked me the other day, they said, so did you set out to write a book about sexism? And the honest answer is, I set out to write a book about women, and I placed it in the environment I'm used to, which is Silicon Valley. And Silicon Valley just happens to still be super sexist. And so the sexism just kind of like made its way into the book because that's my life experience of what it was like to be the only woman in the room, the only female executive on all male teams. And crazy stuff happened, crazy stuff. In fact, I say in the author's note for the book that I actually had to tone it down. There's a little one-page note at the back where I said that for credibility, I actually scaled back the sexism pieces because I thought people wouldn't believe it. And so it's kind of interesting that it made its way in, but it wasn't what I set out to do. It just was my life experience making its way into the book.
Right. Wow. And So I hear that, I mean, even though the book is just coming out today, there's over 50 reviews out there for it.
Yeah,
And
I'm so lucky. So lucky. What were you going to say? Sorry.
no, that's amazing. I was wondering how does that make you feel? And also if there's any maybe that surprised you or that you're just like, I mean, I feel like when I get a review of an album, I kind of like pin it to a board and read it when I'm feeling down. But I don't know, anything you'd like to share with our audience, with our party attendees?
Great point. You know, I've been doing these author interviews. I do this series on Instagram called The Best of Women's Fiction, where I pick authors that I really respect and have them come in and we do like a 10-minute interview talking about their book and what inspired it. And I was just on the other week and I was asking an author, a very big best-selling author, if she reads her reviews. And she said, I read them in the week the book comes out, and then I don't touch them unless I need a boost to keep going with my work in progress. And I thought that was really interesting. So she actually uses her reviews as a tool to help her get back in the vibe when she's kind of losing her mojo and struggling a little with a book. She'll go read her good reviews to remind her why she does it. And there's been a few like that I've had already that I've read, that especially as this gets out to readers who I have no connection to, and I'm seeing how they're reacting to it. And it's been really interesting when people really react to the female power angle of this, to like women taking control of their lives and being friends and uplifting each other. And that angle just makes me smile. It makes me so happy. There was a post on Instagram the other day where someone wrote like literally like 2 pages about the woman power aspect of the book. And I like literally had to like stand up from the desk and do a little, yay, she got it. She got it. That was a big deal for me. Like that aspect was just so important for me in this book. And yeah, there's a cheating husband, but he's not who the book's about. The book's about the women. And so when people get that, that makes me so happy.
I think that's a great point. And so just to cap on the Silicon Valley, Elsene asks if you feel that women in Silicon Valley are moving the direction you mapped out in your book.
Oh, man. Okay, so here's an interesting thing. In earlier versions of the book, it didn't end with quite as uplifting an ending as it now has. Like the ending now in the reviews, people are saying it's super hopeful. They're using words like uplifting and hopeful, and that makes me super happy. But in the original ending, I tried to hold closer to reality. And I was like, oh, you couldn't really go fix everything in Silicon Valley, so they're just going to have to live with some of it staying the way it is. And, you know, that's not a very satisfying ending for a book, right? Like in books, we want things to get fixed. And so I do think things are changing, but also not fast enough. I actually just did something on the extras page for the book last week. I recommended a whole bunch of articles on the state of sexism in Silicon Valley, actually books and articles. And it's not changing fast enough. And in some ways, I sometimes think we're going backwards because we start to pretend that sexism's gone. It's kind of like racism, right? We start to say, well, there's no racism anymore. Nobody sees color. And of course there is, and it's systemic and it's under the covers everywhere. And so I don't think that, I don't know, in some ways I feel like we stopped talking about it and therefore we're kind of letting it slide in some ways. But also I've been writing a book for 4 years. So someone who is 4 years more recent than me might have a different perspective.
So now that you're an author, let's see. Lana Billman would like to tell you that you have great writing, Lainey. How does it feel to be an official author? Excited for you.
Dang good. And it's awfully exciting. Where'd I put the book? I lost it already. It's awfully exciting to have a real book to hold tonight. I will go find it again. It feels
all right.
Good. I suspect it's going to feel even better after I chug half of this very strong Nutella martini.
Well, I'll let you do that while we I'll play you this song about not giving up on your dreams and following that whisper of inspiration that I'm sure as a writer, as writers, we feel that kind of whisper of inspiration. And sometimes we are tempted to give up, along that road or settle, and we keep going. And that's what this song's about. It's called Waiting for the Wind. And then we're going to bring up a very special guest who helped you with this book process, right?
Yeah.
And thanks everyone for your questions. We'll get to them as coming up here in the next segment. Open my eyes, I'm laying next to you. You're still asleep, but I'll try to get through. Kiss your lips and whisper in your ear. It's time for me to leave. The sky is clear. We've been back and forth now so many times. There's still so much out there for me to find. Waiting for the wind to pick me up and take me over to the places my heart is meant to know. Oh, I'm waiting for the wind because it's always on my shoulders. And when it comes, I know it's time to go. It's time to go. It's time to go. I'm just going to play a short version because there's so many good questions. So if you want to hear that song, we'll post my website or you can find it on Spotify. It's called Waiting for the Wind, because this is I want to hear more about this book and welcome Allison to come and talk to us because I know she's been a supporter. Hi, Allison.
Hi, lady. Congratulations.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. So
I'm literally I'm getting teary watching you. I'm so happy for you.
And Allison is like representing the community of all the amazing people it takes to put a book like this into the world. See, the martini's already getting to me. I am so grateful, for all the people who've helped for this book. With this book. Wow. Hey, writer me, talk good.
You speak words to page.
It's amazing the help and the work that it takes and the number of people involved in bringing a book like this to market. And Allison has been my writer buddy since the beginning. I mean, I don't know how many versions of this you read, right? Like many, more than 2 different versions.
A lot. And the crazy thing is I loved it the first time I read it, and somehow you keep making it better. So it's been really awesome to watch you grow as a writer and the story gets stronger, and it's here. It's so exciting.
Oh, it's real. It's physical. It's in my hand.
My copy is waiting for me in Chicago, so I've got the digital one here.
Oh, look at that. It's shiny.
Yay.
So the coolest thing though for Allison and I is that we ended up having the same launch year. So that is not obvious in the publishing process. In fact, Allison signed her contract 18 months before me, more than a year before me. And
2018 was mine.
Yeah, 2018. And I didn't sign until the end of 2019. And it's just the difference between a small publisher versus a big publisher and publishing timelines. And Allison's book came out in April. It's amazing. It's a tearjerker, also uplifting. Go on, show me the cover. There you go. But Allison helped me every step of the way. And so I'd love to ask you some questions like, what would I ask you? Is there anything you would change in the process, right? You're a couple of months past this now, right? You're out there with your book. What have you learned? How's it felt for you?
I think, well, first of all, when we were talking the other day that when you got your contract, I was so excited that we were going to be the same, like launch year. And I was like, can I add you to the 2020 group? Can I add you to the 2020 group?
I haven't signed it yet. You can't add me until I sign the deal.
And you like signed it. And I was like, now you're in the group. Can you help us? Because we need your like brilliance. But no, I mean, I think that we've all been learning together. And I think that we've had, you know, there's so many people, like we're both lucky being in WFWA and having so many people that have come before us. Now it's really exciting that we get to help the next, like, you know, group of writers coming up. But I also feel that everything for us is different because of this like global pandemic situation. And so I feel like, you know, somebody in our 2020 group just today, I think, posted that like we have the hardest year to debut. 2001 was also hard, but our group is, you know, but we've got a great group and doing it together has been awesome. And I'm so happy. Like, I'm just so excited for you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Help me talk a little bit about the book, because you've read multiple versions of the exit strategy.
Yes.
So if you were describing to someone why they might want to read it, what would you say?
I think you nailed it. I think that it is about empowerment and female friendship and strong female characters. And I think that it's that, you know, what I love about it is that unlikely connection, because, you know, in the very beginning, you set up when, you know, there's this like anger and their hatred between them. And I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't read it, but Carly has no idea. Like, she literally doesn't know that, you know, Todd is such a like terrible person that like she has no idea. And I think that the evolution, and I think you worked really hard on that through the drafts, is making Rin more likable. Because I think that like women have a reputation a lot of times if people see strong women, they think not kind thoughts. And so I think you worked really hard on making on Rin likable, which I liked her from the beginning. But no, and I was teasing you earlier about your reckon.
Words that got removed from the book. My editor at the Wild Rose Press, who are amazing, she noticed that I overuse reckon, which apparently is a Southern thing and a Scottish thing, but not the rest of America thing. So my characters were forever reckoning this, and she reckoned this, and she reckoned that. And she also noticed that I really overused to. So
I didn't know. Yeah, your editor did that. Yeah.
As in the word to. And so like, you know, she opened the door to see what was on the other side, which is a little bit of telling as well. Because instead of like having the reader work out why she opened the door, you're kind of telling them the answer. So my editor actually had me go through the book and really look at every single to in the book and whether it could be removed. I believe I had 2,500 or 3,000 word to, and I managed to take out about 600.
I kept getting updates from you. Like, you would send me a message like, I removed 200 twos today.
I love this. I don't want to do this.
I just have to say that I've reckoned a time or two.
You've reckoned a time or two.
Reckoned.
The word, the reckoning, she reckoned. I think it's a wonderful word. I don't know why I can't use it.
I have a question for you. I know there's so many questions in the chat, but, hearing the first page and just hearing you read your words is just so cool. But if you had a feeling to put in the feelings jar today, what would it be?
Oh God, it's got to be gratitude. It would be far and away gratitude. Like, so many people, like I said, have helped, and so many people have wished me well. And I've been really surprised today by the people who've shared the book, like really well-known authors who've shared it. And, you know, when they put their reputation on the line and say, hey, this is worth looking at, they're kind of using a little bit of their brand juice, right? They're kind of putting their reputation out there when they support a book. And I would tell you that 3 of my all-time favorite women's fiction authors all shared the book today. And each time I had a moment of like, oh, that just happened.
Well, and I think that's a testament to you and the book, because to your point, like, people could love you, but it's their brand. And so if they don't love the book, they may be like, congrats, but they may not share it. But like, you are a light, like a bright light of a human, and you have helped so many other writers that like, it's only right that so many writers are helping to lift you up because you've done it for them. But to your point, they wouldn't have done it if the book wasn't brilliant, which it is.
Oh, now you're going to make me cry.
I'm getting emotional. I'm so happy for you.
Oh, thank you for joining today. And I really appreciate you being here because to me, like, it's not a party if you don't invite your friends, right? Like, you have a party, you throw it with your friends. I heard that from Dan Blank. That was actually completely stolen from Dan Blank, who writes about how to be authentic in the world as a writer and on social media. And his point was, if you're going to throw a party, do it with the people you enjoy being around.
It's great. I love it. Well, thank you for including me. It's an honor.
Mwah. Love you.
Congratulations to Allison and Lainey on your new books. It's so much hard work goes into this, and we're really happy to and also grateful to celebrate with you today. And so many really thoughtful comments and questions are coming in. So I was going to play a song, but I feel like we should move into some questions. What do you think? It's your party, Lainey.
We can move into some questions and then maybe we'll do songs at the end.
Yeah. There's some great questions here that I would love to share. Let's see.
Really?
Aw. So much love happening. So much love. Okay. I'm trying to scroll through these. It's a lot. Okay.
Actually, we put some of them in the chat because there's way too many questions. There's lots of great ones.
I've got it. Let's see. Okay. I'm seeing more. Okay. What was your favorite part to write? This is from Linda Leibovitz Rosen.
Oh, from Linda
What was
Rosen.
your favorite part to write?
Favorite part to write. Oh, wow. This is interesting. You know, there's a scene in the book that I kept being told to take out, and I just kept not wanting to take it out. So I got to say that I must have been really attached to it. And it's a scene where Rin gets home and her husband is trying to get her to forgive him. And he fills the house with flowers, and they're a particular type of flower. It's blue roses, and the entire house is filled with blue roses. And at various points, I worked with various editors, and I worked with Tiffany Yates Martin, who is amazing, best developmental editor in the world. And at various points, I think Tiffany said to me, like, does this scene really need to be here? Does it serve a purpose? And I would like look at it and I would be like, maybe not, but I really want to keep it. And so that scene like almost got taken out at least 6 times and somehow still made it into the final book. And so I must have really enjoyed it and loved it. Otherwise I would have taken it out like many times over. So I think that one, something about the language in that scene, I was just really attached to. Maybe one of those, like, I didn't want to kill my darlings, and it made it into the book baby in the end.
And would you say, because our next question is somewhat related from Karen O'Neill Jones, Lainey, tell me about your toughest scene. Which one tore out your guts and then suddenly appeared on the page?
Ooh, I have 2 different thoughts on this. One is what Allison was saying earlier, that I really had to work on making Rin, my main character, relatable, not necessarily likable at the beginning of the book, but relatable. And I discovered some really interesting things, not just about this book, but about how we perceive women, because if I did the slightest thing to make her look kind of bitchy, the reader read it as, this woman is the biggest bitch in the universe. I hate her. And so I realized that I really had to be very thoughtful about how hard I went on what she actually did. So like, she passes a note across the table, and in some earlier versions of the book, that note was much harsher than what it says now in the final version. And part of it was like, my readers were having this reaction to her. And I also heard from readers like, well, I can't relate to her because she doesn't have children. And so it was really hard. I was like, what? You can only relate to women characters who have children? That's a ridiculous thing. And so I had to work really hard to make her understandable and relatable in this scenario where she is not in a happy place, right? She just came face to face with her husband's mistress. None of us are going to go, hi, nice to meet you. Hi, how you doing? And so it was kind of playing balance. It was really hard for me on how to make that balance right. And then the other one I worked on really hard with a lot of help is the scene where the 2 of them agree to work together. It happens in a coffee shop, and trying to strike the right balance of, yes, they're agreeing to work together, but that doesn't mean the story's over and it's all going to be happy from now on. And it would have been very easy to lose the reader on that scene because it's like, oh, we're done. They're going to work together. It's all good now. And so trying to strike a balance with that scene of like, yeah, they're working together, but it's not because they really like each other yet, but maybe there's hope. That was kind of a really tricky balance, and it took a lot of work to get there.
Okay. So Lisa Gilbert asks, and I like this question a lot. Do you ever imagine the exit strategy as a movie? And if so, who would you want to play Rin and Carly?
Oh, this one's so hard. You know, it's funny because I'm not the big TV movie person. In fact, my husband laughs at me because my idea of binge watching a show is we make it through like an episode and a quarter. And we make it like a quarter of the way through the second episode. And I'm like, okay, that's enough TV for me. I'm done. That's good for this week. And so.
And then do you pick up a book?
Pardon?
Or write? And then do you pick up a book or write?
I would rather pick up a book or write, or get stuck in social media, if I'm honest. But I have been thinking about the question for Rin. She's a redhead, so maybe like Amy Adams might be an option. For Carly, there are so many actresses who could play her. I mean, she's got big, wavy brown hair, but I don't have anyone particular in mind. Actually, I'll take suggestions. If anyone has suggestions, you know, for when it's made into a movie, put them in the comments.
Okay. What was the most soul-sucking part of the publishing process?
Oh,
Bill girl, says Kristen Owens.
Oh man, this is an easy one. So I first tried the traditional publishing process of getting an agent and having the agent take the book to a publisher. And I went through more than 2 rounds, but let's call it 2.5 rounds on this. So it started with, I wrote the book, I edited the book. It actually won a couple of competitions. It won the Rising Star, came second place in the Rising Star Award from Women's Fiction Writers. And it also finaled in the Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers competition. And so that gave me some hope that, okay, this is not a bad book, right? It's somewhat decently written if it won a couple of competitions against hundreds of other books. And so I started querying it. I edited it a lot. I queried it to agents. And the first time around, I was getting feedback like, nah, it's not quite ready. So I went back and I edited several more revisions. And I went back to agents again. And that round, I was getting feedback that the character, I can't quite relate to one of the 2 characters. So I was like, okay, got to do some character work. So then I spent a year and I edited the book 3 times. I rewrote it 3 times over a year, working with an amazing developmental editor. And then I thought, it's ready. This editor, Tiffany Yates Martin, she's amazing. She knows what she's talking about. She says it's ready. And so this time I took it back out to agents and I queried 135 agents in total. I got close to 40 requests to read the full book, and every single one was a rejection. So that was just heartbreaking because every time someone would ask me for the full manuscript, I'd be like, this is it. This is going to be the one. She's going to love it. And then I would get an answer along the lines of, I loved the book. It was a page turner. I stayed up reading it, but I'm not going to offer you representation. And I was like, what? So wait, you liked it, but you're not going to offer? And eventually I actually got some great help in reaching out to try and get some better feedback. Like, what's going on? What's this really about? And I actually heard it also from a small publisher when I querying and understand the publishing industry is a little traditional in that they judge, what do they say in the investment world? Don't judge future success by past performance. Well, it's the opposite. In the publishing industry, we judge future performance by past success. And so if you bring out a book that doesn't look exactly like anything that's out there, then the reaction is, I don't know if I can sell that. And that's what was happening is the agents were looking at this book going, yeah, it's a good book, but I don't know if anyone wants a book about women and friendship and sexism. And so I heard that many times. I actually heard, I don't think there's a market for a book set in the workplace. I don't think anyone wants to read about a book full of sexism. I don't think it's a blockbuster topic to write about friendship and women. I heard that as well. And so I'm just so glad that I had some amazing advice from a person called April Eberhardt. She's an expert on paths to publishing. And her advice was give plan A 6 months. And if plan A doesn't work out after 6 months, know what plan B is and move into plan B. And plan B for me was let's find a small publisher I can submit to directly. And I submitted to 6 small publishers and I got several offers within a few months. And then I had the fun task of actually being the one to choose instead of the one being chosen. And I went and talked to a ton of writers about these different publishers. And it was an easy choice. The Waldrose Press, every single author I talked to said they're easy to work with, they're collaborative, they are super responsive whenever you need anything. And so by that point, it was easy. It was like, great, that's obviously the collaborative, easy to work with publisher for me. But it's weird after getting rejected so many times to then have suddenly everybody's saying yes. And you're like, wow. So the problem was the path, not the thing I was taking out there. It's weird. So there you go.
Okay. So have you heard any response from any of your colleagues in Silicon Valley about the book yet?
Ooh.
That is a question from Maggie Smith.
There are a couple of friends from Silicon Valley who are on that I've seen in the comments, but I haven't heard any feedback from them yet. I mean, now you've got me wondering. I'm going to go ping them after this and ask.
Anyone from Silicon Valley, let your opinions be known. We want to know. So we're going to just go a few minutes late, just maybe 10 minutes late, just because I would like to get to all the questions. If you have another question, feel free to post it now. So many nice comments. Just saying, Lainey, you're such an inspiration. I don't know if you can read it if you're looking at the screen, but
I can see all the comments.
Yes, so much love pouring in from all around.
Thanks, Peggy.
I know people stayed up even from the UK to tune in to us and to celebrate the exit strategy. So I think that's actually most of the questions.
Well, there's one thing I wanted to make sure we spend some. Thank you, Lynn. A page turner. I love when people call it a page turner. I also love when people say that they read it in one sitting or over a weekend, which at the beginning I was like, wow, it took me 4.5 years to write and you read it in like 6 hours. But now I realize it's a good thing. It means people are engaged and they're reading it and they don't want to put it down. There is one thing I want to make sure we talk about, Leah, before we go, which is we're both in Mexico and we're so lucky that we are being hosted here in another country, and COVID is really sucky. It's sucky everywhere around the world. There's my wonderful writer metaphorical language there, sucky. But COVID is harsh, right? And in particular here right now in Mexico, people are struggling because they don't have work. They don't have food if they don't have work. Not everybody can afford masks. It's a real struggle. And so we actually wanted to talk a little bit. I wanted to make sure we talk a little bit about a project that Leah is doing called Neighbors in Need. She's actually out there going out and making sure that people who don't have what's needed right now have groceries, have masks. And I wanted to ask Leah to talk a little bit about this Neighbors in Need project that you've been spearheading and working on here.
Thanks, Lainey. I fell into it because as I lost all my gigs pretty much. I was playing 3 nights a week and also just doing a lot of live music stuff. So when that stopped because of the pandemic, I found myself wanting to help others, and I went out and I was just kind of curious as to, I saw a post on Facebook. It said, we're raising money to provide dog and cat food for our neighbors, for our community, because people are abandoning their animals because they're very poor. I mean, they're day workers. Many of the people that live here in San Miguel, I mean, obviously there's the expats that call this place home. There's middle-class Mexicans. There's all kinds of people. But a lot of these people live in very poor conditions. I'm talking about corrugated metal houses, mattresses for walls, just really bad situations. And when I went to go document, I just went to kind of out of curiosity to see, I donated some money and I went out of curiosity to see what was going on out there with the dog food. And I ended up taking pictures of some of these houses and posting them. And then through that, people just started giving me donations to keep going out. And now I've been buying food. Basically more, it's grown to, with $200 to $300 a week, I can feed 20 to 25 families and their pets. And it's just become something that I don't know. it's a beautiful thing, and it's humbling because we can all help someone, even those of us that are unemployed and in a creative field. Like, I've lost most of my income right now, but I'm surviving. I'm able to perform online, and I have enough. And these neighbors of ours in Mexico, they don't have enough. So together we have been, just people from all around the world donating and helping out. And if you're interested in helping out, we have 2 links that you can either support Neighbors in Need, which is my project, or you can support Feed the Hungry here in San Miguel. And if you want to support Neighbors in Need, just make sure you post, if you send a donation, Neighbors in Need, with your email, so that I can add you to our newsletter so you can see the most recent developments and learn the stories of some of these families that I've just fallen in love with. It just warms my heart every time I go, and I just want to encourage you to help someone today. Not, whether it's giving to some organization or just maybe helping someone by calling them. And I know you're definitely helping Lainey by being here. This is such a beautiful community, and I can tell, and it's just awesome. So thanks for letting me share the work that I'm doing and making it a part of your of your book launch. Thanks everyone for being here.
And we can take that off the screen now, so we can say bye to everybody. I'll put the links in the Facebook event chat as well, or somebody will. We'll make sure the links get there too. But I just felt like I'm so lucky that I'm being hosted here, that Leah and I are able to keep going. And like you say, it's not easy for artists right now, and it's especially not easy for people who get paid by the hour and by the day. And then the businesses that they work for get closed down, as they should be, because it's not safe for everybody to be out there. But it's scary when you see that not everybody can afford things like masks that we take for granted. And, it's like sometimes you're wandering around a place like San Miguel and you're thinking, well, why isn't everybody wearing masks and being safe? And not everybody can even afford a dang mask. That's so ridiculous. And so we wanted to highlight something that Leah's doing and things that are going on here locally that are really making a difference. And I'm so grateful to everything that you're doing, Leah. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for inspiring us all and bringing us all together tonight.
And thank you for being part of this party. And I am so happy and grateful to everybody. And I'm just going to end by saying cheers. And there you go. Leah's information, the official Gypsy Car Girl. Follow her. She has an amazing Instagram. She's always bringing out new music. And let's play us out with some fun songs, Leah.
All right. I'm going to play us out with a musical universal prayer for light, for love, and peace. And that's definitely what we need right now. And I wish that to you, Lainey, and I wish that to all of you. We have some beautiful comments. I wish this was longer. Well, feel free to post your questions. I'm going to play 1 or maybe 2 songs if you have some more questions and comments for Lainey, and we'll keep going for a little while. And thanks again. This is called Light to the Universe.
I love this song.
Love before me, love behind, love at my left, love at my right, love above me, love belong. Love unto me everywhere I go. Love in my surroundings. Love to all. Oh, love to the universe. Oh, love to the universe. Peace before me, peace behind, peace at my left, peace at my right, peace above me, peace below, peace unto me everywhere I go. Peace in my surroundings, peace to all, peace to the universe. All peace to the universe. Light before me, light behind, light at my left, light at my right, light above me, light below, light unto me everywhere I go. Light in my surroundings, light to all, light to the universe. To the universe. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Thank you.
Yay!
Yay!
Oh.
Happy exit strategy.
And I got to give a call out to, if it seemed like this went smoothly, the man behind the scenes was Hubby. Didn't he do good? Like,
Yay, Eric. Yay, Eric. Great job.
So proud of you.
I love you. He just appeared for like a second.
I know, that's just like in and out.
Here I am. Goodbye.
All right. Thank you so much. This was amazing, everybody. Leah's music is so great. I think we got the links in there. If you want to follow her. She's always bringing out new great songs. If you want to go find my favorite song, we'll work out where you can find it.
It's called Unsolicited Dick Pic.
Yes.
You can go to unsoliciteddickpic.org if you want. It's part of our
We'll
movement.
put the link in the chat and hopefully it'll survive. It's my favorite song because I actually lived through that experience somehow. So
Well, you're famous now, so expect lots of more.
yeah.
Lady,
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Cheers.
Congratulations.
Amazing cocktail. It's almost done. Wait, that way. There we go.
Yeah, I already finished mine.
Congrats, Lainey.
Thank you. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers. See you soon.
Mwah.
Mwah.